Hello, sports fans, and welcome back to Sports on the Spot. My name is Willie Charger, also known as the Professor, and I'll be joined by Nick James, and later on, our gambling guru, Ronnie, who's going to take a look at the gambling side of sports. Together, we're going to be talking about professional sports today, mostly the National Football League. Are you ready to go, Nick?
Oh yeah, I'm ready, Willie.
Last week, we talked about some of the off-season changes taking place in the National Football League, and we talked about adding an extra game to the schedule. Overlooked is the fact that they also made some special teams rule changes. I don't know if you heard of this one, but apparently now on onside kick, the receiving team will only be allowed 9 players within 10 to 25 yards of the kickoff. Before this time, they could have as many as 10 to 11 lined up within 10 yards of the kickoff, but that's going to change. Apparently, they want to increase the possibility of the recovering the onside kicks. Do you have any ideas on how that might work, Nick?
Yeah, by taking one person out, obviously that's one less person for them to be able to get the ball. Ever since they did the line change where you could only have a certain amount of people on each side of the line for the onside kicks and then not have the running starts, I think that might help level the playing field for chances for an onside kick. It's possible after that Dallas Falcons game last year where they got 2 of them to come back and win the game. You don't see them too much and you don't see people go for them too much. So maybe this is just a way to increase those odds to make the games more exciting. I'm all for it.
Well, while we're talking about rule changes, what about this one? One punter has suggested that if the kicker makes it through the goalpost on the kickoff, that his team should receive 1 point. The receiving team would still get the ball on the 25-yard line as usual, but this would give the opportunity for the kickoff team to actually score on that play. What do you think about that idea, Nick?
Well, we already got the extra point. If we're going to try to tack more on, I would say give the extra point options. If they move the ball back, they could score, 2 or 3 or 4 points, depending on how far back they are. I think it's kind of redundant to have a extra point kick and then potentially that you might as well just make that the extra point. And just some more opportunity for points, though. If you're going to do that, you might as well just add more points in other than the 1 and 2 point conversion. But it is an interesting idea.
You have to admit that would be quite a kick for a guy to be able to kick it through the goalpost from 80 yards away.
Yeah, I don't know if people are doing that yet. I know they're getting close, but I don't watch the warm-ups.
Another headline that hasn't received a lot of news attention was the LA Times reporting that the sister of team owner Dean Spanos has filed a lawsuit in court calling for the team to be sold. She claims that the organization's losing money and that something has to be done. I saw the headline and I went on a couple of Charger websites and I noticed that there was some optimism among Charger fans about the possibility that their team might move back to San Diego. I don't see that happening, but what do you make of this story, Nick?
Well, the low money for them is all based on their low fan base, which is one of the reasons they wanted to leave San Diego. Their stadiums, I went to 2 games there and 1 in LA, and all of the fans there are from the other team. There's more Kansas City fans there. So if they're ever going to have a shot to get back to San Diego, I think it's going to require selling the team to someone who can afford a stadium, because wasn't the issue that Spanos wanted the city to pay for a new stadium, and that's why they ended up moving. And I mean, Chargers will always be number 2 in LA unless they can win a Super Bowl sometime soon. But the Rams have that heritage from LA already. There's already a lot of more Rams fans that I know, even just in this area, than Charger fans. We're some of the few, I feel like. But if there's a chance for them to go back to San Diego, I think selling the team would be good. The worst thing we could see is if someone buys the team and moves them out, because California has enough teams where if Chargers left, they could start a franchise somewhere else. And then that makes things kind of tough. I wouldn't know where to lie my allegiances.
It would be very difficult.
It'd be a hard time.
Let's switch over to the NFL free agency and some of the trades that have been made recently. Can you tell us about what's happening up with the New York Jets, Nick?
Yeah, you've been hearing all the right things from Robert Saleh, where he's like, Darnold's an amazing talent. He's our guy. I always was suspicious they were going to move him, maybe try to do one of the Kyler Murray moves where they get rid of Josh Rosen and then draft Kyler Murray with the number 1 overall pick the next year. It's a very similar situation, just maybe 2 years apart or so. It sounds like the Jets are really stoked on BYU Zach Wilson. And I was, until about today, thinking maybe they were just trying to allocate more draft capital to make a play for Watson, but not to get hung up on that topic. But he might not be on any team coming up. But assuming he doesn't get picked up by the Jets, I'm going to go with, they're probably going with Zach Wilson. They have the number 2 pick, so I don't know why they'd smoke screen that and then end up getting like Mac Jones or Justin Fields.
So Darnold goes to the Panthers. The Jets get a bunch of draft picks. For sure, they're going to now use their number on 1 pick, the 2nd pick in the draft, to go after a quarterback. And like you say, probably Zach Wilson. 49ers sitting at number 3. They're looking for a quarterback. Coach Shanahan apparently is in love with Mac Jones, Alabama. The experts are thinking that that's where he may end up. And so there's going to be the situation where the top 3 picks, in the NFL draft are all going to be quarterbacks. Atlanta, number 4, I don't know what they're going to go, but the tight end from Florida, Kyle Pitts, is very much coveted by lots of teams in the league. What about Russell Wilson in Seattle, Nick? Can you give us any updates on the situation there?
It looks like he's staying put. They just signed Lockett to a pretty big contract. I mean, he's not maybe one of the superstars of the league as far as by name, but production-wise, he's getting the yards, he's getting the touchdowns. He's a very good deep threat for them. It's weird because they were all let Russ cook last season. He starts off really hot and kind of fell off mid-season as far as just dominating games. So hopefully for him, he can get that figured out. Staying with the Seahawks seemed like the right move. I don't think the Bears would have been a better choice for him. Maybe for the defense, but I mean, the Seahawks, they got Jamal Adams at safety. They got a few players over there. I think they'll be leading the division again this year.
I agree with you. Russell Wilson is not going to leave the Seahawks. Perhaps there may be a divorce coming down the line between him and the Seahawks, but I don't see it happening this season. I think that he's probably going to stay. Well, let's take a little break now and send it over to our gambling guru, Ronnie, who's going to spend some time talking about the gambling side of sports. Take it away, Ronnie.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? Good to see you all. Haven't seen you in a while. We're going to be back here talking NFL draft picks. So it's an exciting time. No matter what your team is, usually you feel pretty good about the draft going into it. You know you're going to be getting some hot young stud. You're checking out his pecs and his muscles and his glutes, and you're like, look at this guy. You know, he's gonna make an impact right away. A couple bets for you if you're interested in placing any wagers on the NFL draft. A couple over-unders I like. I like Kyle Pitts, under 5.5. So basically it means he's going to be picked 5 or lower, meaning like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess it could be considered the other way, like it would be 5 or higher. I don't know. Anyways, we're going to take under 5.5. So I'm basically saying he's going to go within the top 5. My buddy Sal Saliano down in Gainesville is a big fan, has been watching him. And, he's been down there since the Tebow days. And, there's still that kind of fairy dust of Tebow flying around. I don't know if it's the Holy Spirit, or, God forbid, rest in peace. But, he likes him a lot, and I think that's going to translate into the NFL. I'm going to do Justin Fields over 5.5. I just got a bad feeling. You hear all these things about Fields. I don't think he's going in the top 5. Especially coming out of Ohio State. I don't know if the quarterbacks, they have a great track record. I was in Columbus one time. I went to this hot dog place. Can you believe this? I had a hot dog with cream cheese in the bun. I don't know where I come from. You do mustard relish, with sauerkraut, and you eat 4 or 5 of them and you're happy. So I don't know what that was all about. The last pick I'm going to say, it's a little bit of a crazy one, but Trevor Lawrence, first pick. The odds are minus 6,000. meaning if you bet $100, you would win $1.67. So, I mean, take out the mortgage, take out a loan, the kids' college fund, we'll put it all together, put it on it, and you make a few bucks. It's a lock. So good luck. Hope you all stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, we are back. And I wanted to thank everybody for watching the show this week. We've reached that point where we have to say goodbye. Wanted to thank everybody for tuning in, and to, if you have the opportunity, like, comment, and subscribe to our show. If you have any questions to ask, you can ask them at the sportsonthespotshow@gmail.com. By the way, Nick, I did get a question from one of my buddies, Bruno, who wanted to know why we don't talk about the National Hockey League, the NHL. Well, let me tell you, Bruno, I got the standings sitting right here in front of me, and as I look at it, it says here that Colorado, Florida, Toronto, and Washington are the best teams. The Ducks and the Kings, the local Southern California teams, are in last place. That's why we don't talk about the National Hockey League in this show. So anyway, with that, I think it's time to say goodbye. Nick, say goodbye to everybody. Ronnie, we'll see everybody soon.
See you next week.
Unbelievable.